So guys, State of Decay 3's first and only trailer dropped in the summer of 2020, and fast forward all the way to 2024 and technically we don't have a lot of info, but that's actually not totally true. There's actually a lot of information. We even have, guys, an official timeline when we're about to see gameplay for this game, maybe even a release window, and it's just not even that far away. And I have personally found features coming, including something I found recently within the last couple of months that no one has talked about yet, and it's gonna make everyone happy, so stay tuned for that. If you guys don't know me, I'm Sunny here at Sunny Games. We have a lot of juicy info to cover, and let me tell you guys, State of Decay 3 is literally set to be the biggest and the baddest post-apocalyptic survival game we have ever seen. But before that, I do have some bills to pay, as Extra Wallets is gonna show us how their wallets help us survive an upcoming apocalypse like in State of Decay. I don't know about you guys, but a big reason that I play State of Decay and survival games is planning for that inevitable zombie apocalypse. And playing State of Decay is the best training that we can do. And one thing that we tend to find in our training is that the world just gets overrun easily by the undead, and every decision can be a matter of life and death. That's exactly why I trust Extra Wallets to keep my essentials secure and easily accessible. For one, they are super slim and half the size of a bulky wallet like my old one, which is key because guys, you don't want a big boy weighing you down when you are running for your life. Another awesome feature is Extra's built-in RFID protection that protects you from data theft, which gives me the confidence to focus on my survival knowing that my cards and my cash are safe. Or check this huge feature, guys, that's just mind-blowing. And my absolute favorite, the Extra Tracker lets you track your wallet location with just a ringing feature, and it gives you alerts when you are separated. And this thing is solar powered, perfect for when you're stranded and you're running away trying to survive and there's no electricity anywhere nearby. Guys, truthfully, whether it's scavenging for supplies or you're outmaneuvering zombies, quick access to my resources is just non-negotiable, which is why I trust Extra Wallets and Extra Smart features. And every second counts in the zombie apocalypse, as you guys well know. And Extra Wallets are not just for convenience, but they're a real crucial part of my survival kit, and I think they could be a crucial part of yours. So whether you're facing the end of the world or just your daily commute, trust Extra to keep you prepared for anything. But guys, wait, that's not all the discounts I have for you as well. Currently, there's an awesome Valentine's Day sale that gives you 20% off, or if you guys missed that, there's an anniversary sale and a spring sale upcoming as well. And remember, use my code Sunny to get an additional 5% off. Trust Extra for all your wallet needs, and thank you to Extra for being today's sponsor. All right, let's start from the very beginning on things that we know about State of Decay 3 that are all but confirmed. And let's of course begin with the trailer itself. Now within the trailer, we see quite a bit happening. For one, the thing that stood out is a zombie deer right at the end is eating a wolf. And truth be told, I don't think I've ever played a game that had anything other than just a normal zombie. So this would be completely new, and I feel safe in saying that this new threat will be something us players have to contend with other than just the normal zombies and the normal freaks. Now, if you guys don't know what freaks are, it's the current dangers within the State of Decay franchise, things like ferals, juggernauts, and then bloaters. And these are all creatures that are just these much bigger looming threats. So Undead Labs has always liked having new threats other than just your typical zombie. And then of course there's the other survivors out there who might also kill you. Now also years back, I found something that was confirmed within a job listing that they were hiring an artist that was familiar with modern methods of character rendering, as for hair, fur, and skin. I also noticed various jobs that have shown things about creatures, how to implement a creature system. So that is double confirmation wildlife is set to be part of the State of Decay franchise. And I would not be shocked that it won't be just in the form of zombie animals, guys. Don't be surprised, we will now be hunting animals for food, for their fur, to craft clothing, and a lot more different things. And for me, guys, I have to say that is super exciting. Now, another thing about the trailer that really stood out that we've never really seen before is simply just snow. There's been no weather across the franchise all these years, and funny enough, weather is one of the most requested features, and it makes a lot of sense. We'd like to see things like rain, snow, winds, really anything that adds to the immersion. And well, remember when I told you guys earlier in this video that I actually found something new recently within the last couple months? I did find a new job posting that finally talked talked about weather itself, as Undead Labs was searching for a senior technical artist who specialized in weather. Now, if you look under the bonus traits and experience, it says experience within creating volumetric weather and atmosphere, and then a few lines down, experience in building interconnected time of day weather systems. So there you have it. I feel safe to say, based on the trailer and now this little bit of extra evidence, we're finally gonna see weather in many new forms within this franchise, and believe it or not, that's a first. And with that, guys, we've actually gotten a lot of other confirmed things, and one thing that really stands out that is going to be different from past State of Decay games is now the fact that State of Decay 3 is set to be Undead Labs' first AAA title. Now, the previous games, especially the first, were more like indie-ish than anything else, and then the second game I wouldn't say was really indie, but more of like AA quality. Well, over the years, not only has there been wording throughout job listings looking for new developers who actually have experience working with AAA games, but also Xbox themselves have really invested into this game with new studios. A few years ago, a studio opened up in Orlando that was set to help this franchise work on improved animations and technology. Now, Undead Labs itself is now a much bigger studio than in past years as well. Just reading within the lines of the heads over at Xbox, they have said they plan for this game to be super big. Another aspect that really drives this point home is that this game is set to be using Unreal Engine 5. This was actually confirmed in an interview from head of Xbox studio Matt Booty some time ago. He also talked about how the Coalition, the makers of the Gears franchise, has been working hand in hand with Undead Labs and really assisting with various parts of the games. Now go ahead and take a listen to this part right here.
And so you mentioned Undead Labs. They're working with the Coalition up in Vancouver, our Gears of War studio, and using some of the technology around Unreal 5 and some of the stuff that's been in Gears of War before to bring that into State of Decay, which is another one, by the way. Most recently, I think it was just the week before last, we spent all day down at Undead Labs over in Seattle, which was great, getting the update on State of Decay 3, which got some cool stuff, in addition to the fact that State of Decay 2 just continues to grow its user base, which is, it's kind of this just stealth thing that just keeps growing. And it was cool to get an update. I think we hit 11 million life-to-date players on State of Decay 2 now, which is pretty cool. And all of that, the things that they're doing in State of Decay 2 are really the test bed, the proving grounds for all the stuff that's going into 3.
Now, another somewhat confirmed item is that Undead Labs plans to really double down on story within State of Decay 3. More specifically, the story your playthrough will tell. Some time ago, Xbox insiders had said that Undead Labs plans on placing a greater emphasis on characters and the narratives within the game. But don't take the word of just those guys. Actually, I want you guys to take a listen to a current State of Decay 3 developer who some time ago reinforced what they're gonna do with story. Take a listen to this.
I was wondering, because Dying Light 2 really doubled down on storytelling. They're wondering if State of Decay 3 is going to do something similar. I obviously cannot answer any questions about State of Decay 3, so I can't give you anything solid to go on. But we've definitely taken to heart the criticism that State of Decay 1 got, where a lot of players felt like just there wasn't really a story at all. And that really, our focus was on the mechanical elements of the game, trying to make it feel like it was your story that you were telling and not some story that we had authored. And I think that sense that we really want it to be your story, I think is going to continue. I think that's an important part of the franchise, but there are better and worse ways to handle story in that context. And so I think that we probably can theoretically do a better job of managing story in that context than we did in State of Decay 2. So I think there's definitely improvements we could make. And so if you're looking for improvements, I think that there's a good chance that State of Decay 3 would do a better job. How exactly it would do a better job, though, I don't know. We're going to try hard and see what we can accomplish.
Now, with that, the thing that I found in all of these years that really excites me the most is something based on the story that your playthrough is going to have and the story that you're going to tell. Something that I found many years ago, and that is a brand new relationship system looks to be implemented fully in State of Decay 3. Now, before I actually go a little bit further with this, technically this is not confirmed, but within Undead Labs' own job postings on their own website some years ago, actually back in 2021, they posted for a job for a narrative designer. And within this job description, it says that this person will lead the implementation of our relationship system and character designs using proprietary tools. Not only that, I have further evidence we're going to see this new relationship system. This one is a little bit less obvious, this little clue, but there's still more evidence. First, I want you to take a listen to this before we get more of that evidence.
I will say this about the things that I know that are coming. They do come from the wish list, and they've been on the wish list for a while. I guess that's a big plug for keep engaging with the wish list, folks. Like, we are listening, and we're doing our best to stay up on things. It's also a very important part of how we're going to inform ourselves for State of Decay 3 going forward. So, you know, what you like about 2, what you don't like about 2 helps us make decisions on a much more meta level about like what the game can and should be.
Now, he mentioned things from the current State of Decay 2 wish list. Well, if I direct you to this wish list and you look at the top votes of things that people want to see, right near at the top, actually the #1 feature, because the #1 thing here listed is actually a language, but the actual #1 feature people want is a relationship system. So guess what? When there is smoke, there is fire. For me, this is all but pretty close to confirm, but technically all we do have is a job list from some years ago. But let's say Undead Labs is fully aware that that is the #1 feature that everyone wants to see, and it was in a job listing, so I fully expect to see it. But alright guys, that's all the story stuff with State of Decay 3, but multiplayer's always been kind of a sideshow, especially in State of Decay 2, where I have to say it's pretty lackluster. While not yet to get confirmed though, technically guys, multiplayer in State of Decay 3, to me it looks like it's set to be a lot more improved and on a much bigger scale. Now, I've actually found at this point pretty much like half a dozen pieces of evidence multiplayer is going to be much more of a focal point than in years past. I've now found a bunch of job listings, even ones that I've never talked about, including this past year in 2023. And if you guys want to see older evidence, check my previous videos. But let me show you guys the up-to-date evidence, as they were looking for a UX director this past year. And in this listing, it says experience working on multiplayer open world titles. And within that same time frame, they were also looking for a senior level designer who has experience in designing levels for areas for cooperative multiplayer experiences. And finally, if I haven't convinced you enough, there was yet another job listing recently as of the last 4 months for a senior gameplay engineer, where it says write and maintain code focused on addressing core loop moment-to-moment gameplay, including networked multiplayer development. And in that same job, under preferred qualifications, it says explicitly experience with multiplayer game development. Now, you don't look for people with experience in these specialties if you're not going to work on multiplayer. Not only that, but Jeff Strain, the former head of Undead Labs, within the past few years has been quoted that State of Decay 3 is now finally on its way to achieving its ultimate vision. And what was that ultimate vision for him and his team back in the day? Well, actually, it was a full online world game that will allow thousands of players to run around at the same time in a much larger server hosted world. So basically an MMO of sorts. Now, I have no clue if that's exactly what is happening right now, and I'm not sure I'd even bet on that. I think what would be a much more improved and dynamic multiplayer than previous games, I kind of think more of what I could see, and that's something like maybe DayZ, only in a State of Decay world with a lot more PvE, but we'll see. Multiplayer though does look to be more of an emphasis in the next game. How though? That's really anybody's guess at this moment. And finally, the last piece of information, which I don't think is really a big deal, but either way it is confirmed, is that State of Decay 3 is set to have in-game cinematics. A gentleman named Alan who works at Undead Labs is a senior cinematic artist, and according to what he specializes in, it's in storyboarding and in-game cinematics, and this was found on LinkedIn. Alright guys, with all that though, let's talk about the very big elephant in the room and the actual release date and information. Well, believe it or not, we actually have some really cool official updates on this. This past summer in 2023, Matt Booty, head of Xbox Studios, went on to talk about, and I quote, "As we think ahead even into 2025, I know just because Undead Labs are in Seattle, what's going on with State of Decay 3, we've seen these things. So as I look ahead to the next 18 months in terms of what we're going to be able to show and deliver and do that kind of gameplay reveal, I'm cautiously confident because the teams are hard at work and they get that kind of bar that is set now, which is let me show up with gameplay, let me do a deeper dive whenever we show up. Now, this quote was this past 2023 in the summer. We are actually now 6 months after that, leaving us with now a year left in that 18-month window. If you look at a year from now, that would actually be the 2025 Developer Direct. We just had the 2024 version of that about a week ago. I could see a deep State of Decay 3 gameplay dive next year at this exact time, with the big thing being me personally predicting that we're going to see a showcase of State of Decay 3 at this year's 2024 Xbox showcase in the summer. So maybe in the form of a new trailer, with that deep gameplay dive being at the start of next year in 2025. And I feel this is an educated guess just based on the timeline that he mentioned in his quote, and it's not really any sort of inside information, but it is my prediction, it is my guess. Let me know what you guys guess down below, and make sure you guys hit that sub and thumbs up if you guys enjoyed this video. Now, there was a rumor of 2027 being the release date. That was basically fake news, and this information came out some months ago. Multiple insiders confirmed that was fake, and guys, even I can tell you that was fake based on my own information, and that's about as far as I'm gonna say on that. So that does though give us kind of a window for the actual release date. Now, I will be insanely shocked if we saw State of Decay 3 release this year. I just don't see that happening, sadly. But I do think middle or late 2025 is a more realistic release date. And since multiple people, including myself, know for a fact that 2027 is an absolutely outrageous year, that really gives us from here now until 2026. So in a way, we are still kind of really far away, but we're not too far away either. I mean, either way, I'm gonna be kind of glued and definitely praying for some news at this year's summer at the Xbox showcase. But if we happen not to hear anything this summer, then maybe we'll hear something at the Game Awards at the end of 2024, and that's always a possibility. Now, if you just cringed at this far away release date information, well, you're actually not the only ones. We actually have information this past 2023 that the devs are actually just as frustrated as you guys are. Recently, Brant Fitzgerald wrote in a Reddit post titled, "Welp, no news about State of Decay 3," and the context of this was that this was about the 2023 Xbox showcase, and Brant goes on to say he's as frustrated as anyone, maybe for different reasons, but don't be upset, don't be angry, we're trying to make the best game possible. And then later in this thread, he says, "I've asked repeatedly that we all be allowed to be transparent like we used to." What he means is like we used to back in our indie days, but that it's much more difficult since the acquisition. He goes on to say that the message is more controlled due to Xbox and all the red tape, and keep in mind that was all a little bit of a paraphrase. And truth be told, guys, the trailer did release back in all the way in 2020, and I'm telling you, we won't see a release date for a while, and that's honestly due to a lot of factors that I won't explain to you, but I'll actually let a recent video from a developer at State of Decay 3 explain what exactly is going on.
So, Quitcher, I'm sorry that State of Decay 3 was not at the Xbox event. We are not ready to show anything, and people kept asking me about whether State of Decay 3 was going to be on that, and talking about press events in advance is just a thing that someone cannot do, and so I couldn't tell you yes or no about it. But yeah, sorry that was disappointing, but you know, we've this game has taken us a while to sort of, you know, get what we're doing up on its feet, and so yes, we're not ready to show anything, but at some point we will, you know, and you know, you all, you know, people who follow our channels and sort of are connected to our community, you're going to be the first ones to know whenever anybody is allowed to know anything. Yeah, and so Coalition is drawing comparisons between the gap, you know, with the gap between State of Decay 1 and 2, and I mean, I would expect our gap to be a little bit bigger, because we are taking an even bigger sort of step up in sort of the scale of project that it is, the number of people working on that kind of thing. Things go slow the bigger you go. You know, State of Decay 1 was a very small, scrappy team. State of Decay 2 was a mid-sized team, you know, and so like as we keep sort of escalating our ambitions, things take a while, and it's hard to sort of learn how to you know, how to handle each new scale of thing that you do. Makes you think about, like, you have to think about your studio culture in a totally different way, and you have to make decisions in different ways, and it can be, you know, it's just a challenge to each new project. It's not just like, oh, we'll just do the same thing you did last time, only, you know, slightly better. Like, people actually get disappointed if that's what you do. You know, the people expect a certain amount of sort of like escalation from a game series, especially when you're spanning generations of hardware, and so it's a challenge. And you know, I think we probably would be happier if we'd managed to do this faster too, but we haven't, because yeah, I mean, the last thing we want is to spend forever, you know, working on a game and not having you see it. My favorite thing has always been you know, the fast turnaround we always had in updates to State of Decay 2, where we could turn something around really quickly, and you know, and I could, you know, I got to have like feedback for the stuff that I was creating really fast. That was a very emotionally satisfying experience. I would love to get back to that scenario. So we're not just sitting there holding back for fun. You know, we really, you know, we're eager to get to the point where we can share this stuff with you.
And there you have it, guys. Development's been pretty slow, but this community and myself, I feel like we're a pretty patient bunch. It's still tough to wait though. My final thoughts are quite a few. Now, you guys saw that the relationship system is the thing that I'm definitely the most excited about. And I really feel like that's going to change the dynamic of the post-apocalyptic game that we've all grown to love over the years. And I think the future of it can really make this be a game changer of a feature. Then you add in the fact that multiplayer could be expanded further, and you have a game that is going to be there for the long haul. Reports are that a new Xbox isn't coming out until 2028, which if this game releases in 2025, it actually gives Xbox a pretty big system seller at the end of this current generation's lifespan. I really think Xbox is going all in on State of Decay franchise, and for one big huge reason. PlayStation actually has The Last of Us. Xbox equivalent is actually this franchise, and it's why I think they're making sure that they're going all in on this franchise going forward. Heck, you don't even have to believe me. Listen to the head of Xbox himself say how excited he is about State of Decay 3 more than any other franchise they have in development.
This is so hard because we have so many teams that are doing so much great work.
Yeah.
Another team, and this one's probably not that big of a surprise for people who've watched me play, but I was a big State of Decay 2 player, and Undead with, you know, the looking at State of Decay 3, I'm incredibly excited about some of the advancements they're going to make. They've had this pattern, they've talked about it publicly, from State of Decay 1 to 2 to 3 and what they want to do, and we haven't shown a lot on State of Decay, but it's a game that I really enjoy playing. I'm a big co-op player. I like building, I like resourcing, and I'm really excited about where that team's going. But you know, it's hard because we do have a lot of games in development, as you said, some of them talked about, some of them not. So I don't mean to exclude anything.
And if this whole video, guys, isn't proof to you that this game is said to be the biggest, the baddest, and the coolest post-apocalyptic game we've ever seen, I honestly don't know what'll convince you. But before I leave you guys, I want to let you guys know that a lot of the developers at Undead Labs and State of Decay watch my videos. So if you guys have a feature or something that you want them to know about, write in the comments below and tell me what you guys are looking forward to the most. For me personally, the expanded relationship system excites me. I'm also really excited about the new animal creatures and how they're going to implement that, and I'm really looking forward to the very best post-apocalyptic zombie sandbox game available to ever be made. And for me, I really think it's going to bring this genre to whole new heights and new levels we've never seen before. If you guys want a more expanded video on the release date for this game though, make sure you check out that video on the screen.